Well, good morning, everybody. It's a brand new day here on Sugar Cube Creek, and today I've got a small project I'm going to do. I'm going to change out the sights on this rifle. This is a muzzleloader. This is a older Knight MK85, and it has a Williams FP foolproof sight on it, and that's a really nice little sight. It's a really solid, rock solid sight, and it has an original front sight that it's a globe sight, but it's not very precision as far as if you're wanting to shoot small groups and something like that. The front sight's too large to get that done. But this is a very accurate rifle. I like it a lot, and I've been thinking for a while that I wanted to change the sights on it. So I'll probably get after that here in just a minute, and I'll kind of touch in a little bit when I get around to a spot that looks like a spot that would be good to touch base on. So anyway, until then, I'm going to sign off. Okay, one of the things I'm going to have to do is I need to take this side off, and I've already built a shim to go in between that to raise that a little bit, because when I change this sight, it is going to be a lot taller. So anyway, that's going to be the first step, is to change out that sight there. So I will touch base on this in a little bit. This first step, I'm going to remove the screws out of the sight, and I've already done one of these. My son's rifle is set up the exact same way, so I've already done the setup as far as what size shim to put in. Both of those are out, and what I'm going to do now that I have these screws out and the threads are exposed on this, I am going to clean and degrease those threads real fast. Show that. You can see where when I've been cleaning I get plenty of oil on there. But I'm going to go ahead and clean and degrease that so that I can reinstall. I want the threads to be good and clean when I tighten it down. So I'm going to get that done real fast, and then the next stage will be to install this sight with the spacer underneath it. Again, that's the Williams FP sight, the foolproof sight. I have added the target elevations change on that, the elevation screw, and then this gib lock right here allows that to go up and down freely, and then I can tighten that back up and it all becomes solid. It's a really nice system. I love that. So anyway, I am going to get that installed right now. This is my spacer that I've built. And like I said, I already did that. I built that when I built my sons. I went ahead and did mine too, so that I knew that I'd have them both done at the same time. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and sign off for just a minute while I get this cleaned out. So I'll start this back up. Okay, I've done a little more shaping on my spacer, and I'm degreasing the screws, and I wanted to show that is all the junk, the grease, the oils, the you name it, that was in the screws. And when I put the degreaser on them, then I just work them really good, and you can see I'm still getting some off. But that's an important step. Okay, the next step, I am going to test the length of the screws, because I had to shorten them as well. I went ahead and shaped that a little bit closer to try to fit a little bit closer with that. It's not going to be perfect, but I don't have perfect equipment. I have got to do what I just got to do with what I've got to do it with. So I am going to give that a try. I hope this is showing on my hands here. I don't know if it is. I hope that can be seen. Anyway, I'm lining those up, putting the screws through them, and I am going to test fit. Like I said, I don't know for certain if my screws are the right length. I kind of halfway did it at the same time I did my sons. It looks like it is going to work. Okay. This particular rifle has got two safeties. It has this safety right here, and it has this safety right here. I know that this muzzle loader is not loaded, but I'm going to go ahead and explain that real fast. But I am going to pull the trigger on it a couple of times and make sure that it's not hanging up. Looks good. It looks very good. So the next step, I will take this all back off. And after I get this off, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use fingernail polish. And the fingernail polish, what it's going to do is it's going to be a very light grade thread locker. I don't want those screws to come unthreaded, but I don't want to use an aggressive thread compound. So I am going to get some fingernail polish, and I am going to lock that down. So I'll start this back up in just a minute. I'm going to go get that and maybe trim on that just a little bit more. So anyway, I'll see you in just a minute. Okay, I've got everything pretty well shaped. It's shaped well enough. Like I said, it's not going to be perfect because the equipment I'm using sanders and not and belt sanders and stuff, and not machining equipment. So anyway, I'm going to put just a little dab of fingernail polish on these screws. Fingernail polish, like I said before, will help to lock those threads, but it's not so aggressive that it's a permanent bond. I hope this is being shown here. It's not a permanent bond. It's a temporary. If something happened and I needed to get that apart, I could do it. I probably, if a wrench just wouldn't do it, I could probably get it with I could probably just get it with a little bit of heat from a hairdryer or something like that. I wanted to check and make sure that indeed was not in the way, and it is not. There we are. Alright, get a little bit of a closer shot of this. That's the spacer on the rear sight. So now I'm going to move on to the front sight. This one's all set. And when I'm done with this, ideally what's going to happen is my top mark, and it probably won't show on this, but the top mark on this will be my 100-yard mark. Like I said, if it works the same as my son's rifle does, so hopefully it does. I'm going to take this front side off, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take this globe off here. Once the globe is off, I will pull the screws out of the front sight. I'll clean underneath the front sight. I'll clean the screws, and then I will reinstall, and I will probably go ahead and use a little bit of fingernail polish in that as well. So anyway, until I get a little farther on, I'm going to sign off for just a little bit. Okay, I've got the globe off of here, and the globes on these old knights like this are they only slip on. They just slip on. They can slip off. I put a little bit of bedding compound in there so that it wouldn't come off when I didn't want it to. Anyway, after I took it off, I went ahead and tapped out the front sight. The front sight's off now, and the ramp is now off. And what I'm going to do is, again, I'm going to clean this up. It's not really bad. It doesn't have a lot of junk on it, but with any gun that has creases and crevices on it, there's always going to be a little bit of something there. You can kind of see a faint outline, and it just needs to be cleaned off. It isn't going to hurt either way if you do or if you don't, but I like to just kind of clean it up. That way I know that my my whole thing is mounted correctly. I'm going to clean the bottom of the sight ramp off. And it really needed it. It was dirty. What I used that time was gun cleaner, and next I'm going to use paint thinner, mineral spirits. The mineral spirits work really well for taking off greases and oils and stuff like that. Just can't beat it. I'm gonna degrease the screw holes. The screws are tiny. I hope I don't lose one. My bench is so dirty that I don't have any room to work on it, so I'm having to improvise here. That one's degreased. And that one's degreased. All right. Okay. There's a little bit of that bedding compound still left in there. I'm going to turn this off right now until I get that cleaned out, and I'll start up after that. Okay, I got that all degreased and cleaned up. I got it cleaned up as well as I need to for this. And I put some fingernail polish on those screws. And now all I have to do is tighten them up. Okay. Next, I have this sight, and this is a Lyman 17 AHB. The designation on the AHB stands for the lowest sight base that they make. It's 0.040 inches tall, and because it is taller than my original sight, I have to, like I said before, I had to shim that rear sight. So now I need to drive this one on just like this. And I'm going to use a small hammer and a brass bolt. And it's going on well. And I went from it'd be the right side if you're holding the gun to shoot it. I went from the right side to the left side as I drove that on. Now all I have to do is center that, and this project's getting pretty close to being done, so I'm going to hang up for right now and get that centered, and then I will wrap this up. So stay tuned for a little bit more. Okay, what I did was I took a set of calipers, and I hope this shows, and I measured each side just like that. And it appears to be pretty close. I'm going to have to take it out to the range to really tell what it's going to be like. The last thing I'm going to do here is the front sight itself, and is these sights are made by Lyman, and they're intended for a you know, the Lyman sights like that, the globes, the inserts for those globes are not good. They're much larger than what they need to be. You just don't need a pin that large. And so what I have done for years, I'm talking probably over a dozen years now, is I have ordered sights from Lee Shaver's Gunsmithing. And Lee Shaver's, he produces sights, he produces these inserts, and I don't know if you can really, are you going to be able to see that or not, but each card is an individual, has individual sizes of inserts, and I like the one that's just about the medium size, and I like the pin. I always have liked that for my shooting, and they're a little bit expensive, but they're very, very, very well worth it. I recommend that when you break those out that you use a pair of needle nose or vice grips or something like that, so you can grab a hold of the stem on that. I don't know if you can see that, but it's very small. And Lee Shaver's, I believe, is a long-range black powder cartridge shooter. I believe he has competed in a long-range contest. But that insert just slips in just like this. It's a little bit difficult to get it lined up correctly. I prefer actually to do it upside down like this. That way it kind of falls into place. But this is those are a difficult item to get in. Another thing is be very careful when you're threading this this piece onto the globe, so that you don't get your insert bound up and break it, and so that it goes in straight and doesn't get cross threaded. So for right now, that's the front sight. And this is the rear sight. Now that I've got that inserted like that, everything's ready to roll. The only thing I have left to do is take this to the range, and what I will do when I'm at the range, I will probably start off at like 50 yards or even 25 yards, because I'm not 100% positive where that's going to hit, even though I've kind of already done I guess I've already done the math on it a little bit, and it should be real close. The front sight might need to be tapped one way or the other to get it to be in the right spot, but in all, this is done, and this rifle now, before it was 100 to 150 yard gun. With these sights on there now, the gun should be good for upwards of 300 yards. I know that my son has shot his like this out to 300 yards and done fairly well with it. We'll just have to see what it does. This rifle was very accurate out to 150. I was fortunate enough to kill an elk with it a couple of years ago. And so with that, I'm going to sign off, and I will I guess see you next time on Sugar Cube Creek.